coming like lightning, like thunderbolts striking. The temperature's rising every time that I step in. I'm burning up fever, 'cause I'm a heat seeker, a force of nature.
Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge. The MUNY, which is the nation's largest outdoor theater, is getting ready to kick off their 105th season. And to tell us all about it is the president and CEO of the MUNY, Kwofe Coleman.
How are you?
All right, my friend, 105th season. What is going through your mind as we start this interview off?
Number one, we are T-minus a few days out from the season, so going through my mind is a list of things that I'm pretty sure have to be done soon, but most of it's excitement. You know, the crews are back on the lot. We did a couple events over this past weekend where we just had different groups coming in and just talking about the season coming up. The excitement is back. We feel like we're a little bit past the just survive post-pandemic phase, and we're back into the reality and the excitement of thriving. So number one, I would say I feel excitement, a little bit of anxiety, but for the most part, it's going to be a great summer.
It's got to be so exciting because I know we talked during the pandemic and we talked the first season back, and it must be so great that, you know, the winter comes, everything shuts down, then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, here we go, getting ready to turn the lights on again and put the audience in there.
Absolutely, that feeling comes back, and I think you feel it before you see it. You know, the weather starts to turn, and I've been here for a long time. This is going to be the 25th, I think my 25th season here. So after a while, you know what that thing feels like in your stomach, in your heart. It just is this sense of energy that's different. You're right. The winter, we shut down, we start planning for the next thing, but now it's going to happen. Sooner than later, the lights will be on the stage, the orchestra will be in the pit, the folks will be on stage. It's going to be, it's something magical that happens. I can't describe the feeling well. I wish I could bottle it, but we're getting back to that, and it's a great place to be. You know, I wouldn't trade this for anything.
So you said this is your 25th season, right?
Yeah, this is going to be
for you.
For me, yeah.
So you started going as a theater goer, and then you started as an usher?
That's right. So I went to a couple shows as a kid back, gosh, I was probably 9 years old, I think, the first one. I saw the Wizard of Oz here. I think I saw it twice, I want to say. And then, yeah, I started as an usher when I was 16 and just stuck with it in different jobs in between. You know, I joke that this one pays better, but being an usher was a whole lot of fun. You know, you just meet the folks. What happens on stage is unbelievable, but also what happens in the audience and then the community part of it is something that I think is one of the things that sets us apart, just because we can bring so much of the community together. And it's been so much of my 25 years is not even a lot, you know, relative to some of the folks that have been coming out that are in this audience. So that connection, I think when you talk about the feeling of electricity, it's coming back. It's also, you're going to see friends and people you haven't seen for a long time, and you're going to share something together.
You know, what I find one of the most special things about the MUNY is you let the audience decide what the season is going to be like. And I think that is the best thing to do. So, I mean, tell me, you pride yourself on that, don't you?
100%. No, this theater belongs to this community. And so, you know, we do that survey and we put, you know, 30-something shows that we're open, willing, able to do. And we really look at those results over several years also to see what our audience wants to see. You know, one of the things that's really exciting about this season is we ask them, what do they want to see? And that includes 4 premieres. And that's a really great thing. You know, a place that's built a lot, there's a lot of tradition here, there's a lot of history, but that desire for our audience to also mix in premieres, new shows, expand the vocabulary of what we do, that tells us that there's a long future here, because our audience is in line with the evolution of the art form as well. So if we do a survey, we count them, we look, it's amazing to see how passionate people are about that. But, you know, we want this theater to feel like a welcoming home and a place for everyone. So that means you decide in large part what you want us to give you, and then we will do our best job to give you the best version of those shows.
Okay, you bring an audience of over 350,000 people a season. I mean, that is an incredible number. How proud you must be of how much joy the MUNY brings to that number of people.
Yeah, it's something that we use. It's a sense of pride, 100%, because that means that that many people, some of them have been coming forever, but some of them, there's a percentage, this is the first time they've ever seen a show. It might be the only time they ever see a show. So our opportunity to be the place to be the welcoming, or that one time to see musical theater on a scale that we believe is unparalleled is something that we take a lot of pride in. And there are no barriers to that access. We have the free seats. We have seats that are all different prices. We make sure that there's public transportation, all the ways to get here so that there aren't any barriers between an individual having the desire to see a great show made for and by the people of their community. And that's something that we pride ourselves on. I think theater as a whole is about bringing people together, whether it's here in St. Louis, there in New York, or anywhere in between. It is a together, it is a communal, it is a shared activity and shared experience. And so if you can do it on a giant scale, if we can bring in 8, 9, 10, 11,000 people a night, we can move that needle of how many people have sat in an audience and seen a great show.
And what's also wonderful about the MUNY is people who come here, they may be like, oh, I may not be able to become an actor, but boy, I could become a set designer, a costume designer, a lighting designer. I mean, you give them, they can just see what you do at the MUNY and you can start them on a path of working in the theater.
Absolutely. And I can use myself as an example. There was never a chance that I was going to be on a stage anywhere. Like, no, that is not good for anyone. But you come to a place like this, and there's an opportunity, like you said, to learn all the disciplines backstage, whether it's the internship programs. We have a magnificent education program that has a bunch of different individual opportunities within it. And so that is a chance for people, like you said, to find a livelihood, to find a path for something that brings them joy or not. You know, the things that you learn, if you take our kids and teens, our education program, they may not end up doing theater at all, but they've learned the process of creating and working together. They've learned the process of being comfortable in front of people. If you can be 9 years old and get on that stage in front of 11,000 people, by the time you're 29, 39, if you go on to be an attorney, holding court won't be a problem. Public speaking isn't an issue. So we believe strongly that this art form is also one that just, as you grow in it, builds a set of skills that may or may not be needed to be on stage, but definitely needed in adult life. And that's great. We think that that's, again, part of participating in the community in a productive way.
See, that must make you so proud of what you do, because with these programs, like I said, even if they don't want to go into the theater, just standing on a stage, learning how to present yourself in the world, to go out there and say, I can do anything, or I can be in a room with anybody and I can have my voice heard. You know, you set them up to being these strong people that they eventually become.
You just said it perfectly. I want to re-quote that: I can be or do anything. And that is what we want people to believe when they come out of here, whether they participate in making the shows with us, or if you're in that audience and you see a reflection of yourself on that stage, it tells you the same thing. I can be anything. Cinderella, Belle, the king, whoever it is, they can look and they can be anybody. And I think that what we all get to do for a living is help people understand reality, or see it in a way that is sometimes also a little bit non-traditional, but says to them that anything is attainable. And that's, you know, I love this. I love what we get to do, because we get to bring joy and bring a different reality, a better reality, or a hopeful reality to people. And again, we get to do it on a scale that is really big, so you feel like you're moving the needle. You feel like you're making an impact, and I hope we are.
Oh no, I know you are. We all know people who've gone to the MUNY or whatever, or gone to your programs or whatever else. So thank you for continuing. And like I said, 105th season. That's an incredible number, right?
It is. Many people have come before us. I think we're getting to the point where there aren't many people left that could have possibly even been here in the beginning. There's a couple, but it's getting low. So 105 to, you know, this theater's made it through a lot of different parts of history. And it's due very much to the community we serve here, but the community nationwide. I think we don't achieve this history if the best and brightest from Broadway haven't made this a destination at some point for themselves. If this isn't a place where we have the respect of the community globally or nationally, that helps. That's why we can make it for so long. So we don't take that responsibility lightly. It's our job to turn around and give the best, unmatched, unparalleled type of experience possible.
Well, let's talk about your incredible 105th.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Now, some of these are premieres. You kick off with beautiful, the Carole King musical. Tell us, is this the first time for that to be there at the MUNY?
First time to be here at the MUNY. It'll be like the fifth time I've seen it. I saw the opening and then I saw it as many times humanly possible after. When we talk about the survey, we talk about shows that people have voted for and they really want to see. This is really high on that list. And, I think it's tailor-made for a place like the MUNY. It tells a great story, but it's also just really full of great music, right? Music that is familiar. When you're as big as we are, you have a section of your audience that are there, tried and true musical theater fans. They follow it and know. And then there are some that are here for the moment of being outdoors and having experience. And so they sometimes need a piece of familiarity that is not built or baked in being the theater part of it. So Beautiful is one that I think will serve the audience, a cross-section of the audience really well. Like I said, I have a personal affinity. I love the show. So, once you get to be in one of the deciding chairs, you get to be really excited about some of the shows that are coming. So Beautiful is definitely one.
Well, that runs from June 12th through the 18th. You have an incredible director. It's Marsha Milgram Dodge, who we all know from New York. But you're going to have people dancing in the aisles with the moonlight and everything else for that one, right?
Absolutely. And Marsha, as you said, has been here a few times. And so she knows our audience. She knows the stage. She knows the community. So it's going to be one. Yeah, I think we'll have to let the ushers know. Let them dance. Let them sing. It'll be fine.
Now, you have a few Alan Menken musicals coming, which I'm thrilled about. Following Beautiful is Disney's Beauty and the Beast. Talk about that under the moonlight.
When you have a show where you have all the family is going to be here, that you're going to see it, the next generation start to have their theater or their MUNY journey. That's always a special moment when it can be something like Beauty and the Beast, which is a story that's kind of, it's a fantasy. It's magical. It's made to be told partially outside. The whole thing about Beauty and the Beast just fits. It just makes sense here. So that's, again, it's one that we see high on the survey. It's one that we get to do because it's geared toward a younger audience. We get to do a show like Beauty and the Beast more often, and every time we see it here, there's a whole new host of little bells running around, a little beast running around, and here for the show. So it's running a little bit longer because we know that the excitement and the interest is there. So we're we look forward to that one. And like I said, when you see that tradition starting for a next person or a next wave, it's one of the exciting parts of doing this job and just being out there every night.
But that's the great thing about the MUNY, because you're going to have grandparents, parents, and their kids. Everyone comes to your audience. But I'm sure Disney's Beauty and the Beast is going to be packed with generation after generation after generation.
Yeah, I think I remember when I counted as young, and it was exciting for me. Now I'm no longer in that young category. It's still exciting because I have that nostalgic relationship with the show. So yeah, it's going to be one that you see that real groups of families coming. You said grandparents down to grandkids having a night together.
Well, that is from June 22nd through the 30th. And what a stellar cast you have in that. I mean, you have Ashley Blanchett as Belle. You have Broadway's Last Phantom, Ben Crawford as the Beast.
Yes. I can't say enough about our production team and Mike Isaacson and Michael Baxter and the casting. They have the ability to reach out and find people that want to be here, but who have been, like you said, from Phantom, from everywhere, that have done that have credentials and resumes that you wouldn't believe. And so that's I think our audience here deserves the best of the best, and our production team, they do a great job of finding those folks.
Well, like I said, you have Claiborne Elder as Gaston, you have Anne Harada as Mrs. Potts, John Tartaglia is directing.
Yeah, it's you talk about John and Anna and Anne Harada. It's I don't know if they want to be called MUNY family, but we call them MUNY family, and that's always nice. I talk about what it's like when people come back here and you see, look at all the things that Anne's doing, look at all the places John Tartaglia's been, but this is something that they still want to do and they still say yes to. That feels. You talked a lot about what makes us proud to be here, to have that level of talent. You look at that cast that we just announced, that all those folks said yes, they wanted to be here and they want to be a part of our production. And so we know that when our audience is in that house, they're going to see the best of Broadway, the best of this country, right here in St. Louis to see Beauty and the Beast. Half those kids have no idea what they don't even realize what they're. Years later, they'll look back and say, "This is who I saw on stage," and that's a moment that we're proud to give folks.
And then, of course, you have Chess coming after that, which is like I call the first ABBA musical. Of course, it features a book by Richard Nelson, lyrics by Tim Rice, music by Bjorn Ulvaeus and Benny Andersson. I mean, Chess is coming in from that's July 5th through the 11th. That's a big one coming in here.
Yeah, it's a big one. It's a great that we have the opportunity to do that. It's little known fact. St. Louis is the chess capital of the world. I will tell you, I live here. I am from here. That was news to me. Little do I know, I live less than a block away from the World Chess Hall of Fame, the World Chess Museum and the Hall of Fame. It's up the street from me. I've driven by. So long way to say it's a show that has a really unique relationship with this city. Like you said, it's a show that has I don't want to call it a cult following, but like whatever's close to that's the right way to say it. And we were excited to do it when we announced that show. We announced all 7 shows together. That got the most response from people that are like, that's the one I'm going to see. When there's one they're picking of all, and they're not coming to the whole season, or maybe just a couple, that was on that list. So it's not done often. It has not been done here. Because of that relationship with World Chess Hall of Fame and this city, we were able to take the opportunity to do a show that I think deserves to be produced more. Isn't necessarily, but if we can do that on our scale and bring some eyes back to the show, that's exciting. And also, there's just an increased relationship with the game of chess in this country right now. So it couldn't have been better timed. I'd love to say that we knew that wave was happening in the world, but it works out well. So it's going to be a great show. It's got some music and songs. Again, even if you don't know the show, most people have heard One Night in Bangkok. There's a lot of songs that people will hear and feel familiar with. So that'll be a great way to come back from that 4th of July weekend.
Oh, I love that. Of course, that is directed by Josh Rhodes. Following that is one of the biggest classics of all time, West Side Story. I mean, book by Arthur Lawrence, music by Leonard Bernstein, lyrics by Stephen Sondheim, a concept by Jerome Robbins. That's on July 15th to the 21st. How excited are you for West Side Story?
Well, when you list that pedigree, you see why that show is a classic and will always be. I'm really excited for that. I think classics are part of the history here, right? It's part of it's where we started. It's one of the things that we do really, really well. Some of those classics are made and written for stages and situations that are as big as we are, or close to that. So that one definitely serves the audience really well. It's it's on that rotation that we see it, a couple times a decade if we can. The music, there's nothing I can say about that show that has not been said or has not been written in its history, but to say that it is one that's always done really well here. Where I know we're getting ready to announce some more casting on that. I think people will be really thrilled to see how that show's coming together. But yeah, to do a classic at the MUNY that's kind of one of those bread and butter moments, and that's again one that the audience has asked for, and one that I personally really love. So I will be in the audience for a whole week in July. That much I can promise you.
Okay, the next time I talk to you at the end of a season, I want to see your Jets and your Sharks moves. Just so
but we talked about it. I'm not supposed to be on stage, so
well, you're going to get those moves in your DNA. Just so you know, my friend.
I'll be in our 11-day rehearsal period is a little too short for a novice like me, but I'll see what I can do.
Again, that's July 15th through the 21st. The director is Robert Rio. God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
Allergies are happening even in St. Louis. Is there happening?
Everything is in bloom. 2 things happen in April and May here. The staff comes back and I get excited, and outside starts to bloom and I get sad. So that's who we are.
That's the mix you have to deal with as you start the 105th season.
Gift and the curse.
Following that is Little Shop of Horrors, a book and lyrics by Howard Ashman, music by Alan Menken. I mean, that runs from July 25th through the 31st, directed by Maggie Burrows. What a fabulous musical that's going to be, with the big plant on stage.
Big plant on stage. Production. We started talking about this a couple of years ago, and our production manager, Tracy Otzmeyer, and Mike, I know, have had the most interesting conversations and debates on how that plant is going to come to life on stage. They never disappoint. I have not seen any of the plans. I want it to be a surprise for me too. But you talk about I talked about a cult classic before with chess. Same here. Little Shop is one that has a following. It's an exciting one. It's one again that welcomes sometimes folks that aren't, again, theater fans necessarily, but it's something that they're familiar with. It's interesting, it's a little funny, it's a little weird, it's all of those things. So Little Shop came up high on the list. I can't wait to see what our team does with that plan, but I'm sure it will be thrilling if the proper balance of thrilling and terrifying.
Because of the size of your stage, your Audrey 2 is going to be the largest Audrey 2 that anyone has ever seen anywhere in the world.
I think we can just about guarantee that. And we're in the middle of Forest Park. It's a municipal park, so everything's green around here. So I think if there was a show, again, tailor-made for a stage that has plants on it already, this has got oak trees and everything on it already, this is the place for it.
Well, we can't wait for that. And then following that is another incredible new classic, Rent, with, of course, book, music, and lyrics by Jonathan Larson, which is running from August 4th through the 10th with your director, Lily Ann Brown. I mean, how excited are you to bring Rent? First time there?
First time here for Rent. And we have a lot of conversations every season about what's the lineup going to be. And this, it was Mike and I started talking about putting Rent in this season probably 2 years ago. And you talked about Lily Ann Brown and that whole creative team. The whole creative team coming back is the same team that did The Color Purple for us last year. And what a moving, unforgettable experience that was. So I'm excited to welcome them back for a second show. I'm excited to see what they do with Rent. But again, Rent is also a show that when you talk about musical theater, and if we're going to be a historic, iconic, whatever superlative is gifted upon us, Rent has to be in that pantheon of shows that we've done. And so there's a lot of interest, there's a lot of conversations, a lot of excitement about Rent being here finally, and I say it finally on our stage.
Well, that's very exciting. And then you close out the season with another Alan Menken musical that he wrote the music for, with lyrics by Glenn Slater. I mean, Sister Act.
Yeah, Sister Act is going to be, I like to close the season with a celebration. It's not, you don't always get to do that, but it's a feel-good story. People are familiar. We've seen the movie. So by the time you get to the end of the season, you want to send people out with a little bit of joy and a great song and a great memory in their heart. So Sister Act was I think it was the most selected show on the survey. People wanted to see Sister Act here this year. So the team's coming together for that. It's going to be another fun night at the MUNY. It's just something that you can feel. You're going to see a great show. You're going to see amazing talent, but you're also just going to have a great night. You're going to have a great time. And that's a large part of who we are. So, you put those 7 shows together like that, people forget over the past few years, we've been doing seasons that had shows left over from 2020, 2021 that we just couldn't do due to the pandemic. So I think one of what feels best about this season is that there's 7 shows that were put together to be with each other, right? That you can build a season. I can't commend our artistic team enough for the thought that they put into how these 7 shows take our audience through a cohesive journey. So that, when you look at it, that I think that's really what makes people the most excited about it as a whole season, because all those shows give you something different. By the time you hit the end of the summer, you have felt all the emotions. You have laughed, cried, and everything in between. And so I think that's one of the gifts of being able to do 7 shows in a condensed amount of time. You can spend a summer and have experienced all the highs and lows, the big shows, the small shows, all the different characteristics of a theatrical performance have happened here. And we're ready to take people on that journey.
Well, that's your final show. It's directed by Dennis Jones, and it runs from August 14th through the 20th. My final question for you is, talk about how special the MUNY is to you and to your audiences.
Oh, wow.
That the MUNY has.
Yeah, for me, this is it's home. Why it's so special to me, like I said, is because on any given night, every type of person that lives in the city and this community can be here, and there's no reason for them not to be. Like I said earlier, there are no barriers to their access. And for a minute, we're in a world right now, like we are hyper aware of all the things that make us different from each other. And there's an inherent beauty in that, because it celebrates uniqueness, but there's a challenge sometimes because we can be so unique that we feel alone. And so when you're here, when you're 11,000 people and you're experiencing the same emotion at the same time, regardless of how you got there, what your means are, who you are when you walk out of here, you forget that you forget those differences and you celebrate the concept of together and community. And I hope that that's the same reason why it's special to our audiences. And above that, they get to experience a superlative experience in St. Louis. Sometimes the narrative here isn't about all the things that are great, it's about the things that are challenging, which every city has. So to have a theater that's one of one, and to be the people that get to be stewards of that, is a gift that we love to give back to our community on a regular annual basis. 105 times now. Hopefully, looking forward to 106 times.
Well, once again, the MUNY, which is the nation's largest outdoor musical theater, is getting ready to kick off its 105th season. For tickets, just visit muni.org. Kwofe, always a pleasure to see you, my friend.
This was a blast. It's great talking to you. This is the next step of excitement. Now I know I've talked to you, so it's really happening. We're about to do this.
7 shows, 105th season.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you at the theater, and go to the MUNY.
We'll see you
soon. Take care,
everyone.